Bitcoin, the father of crypto and the one that dictates everything. Many believe Bitcoin became just a store of value, but the truth is that it is on a good way to become much more. And today, we will explain reasons behind it. And don't worry, even if you are a complete beginner, you will be able to understand, because every video on Bitcoin Academy is 100% beginner friendly. So without wasting time, let's dive right inside. Let's begin with the problem, the one Bitcoin was built to address. Traditional money, as most of us know it, is quietly losing its value. In 2025, inflation may not dominate headlines like it did a few years ago, but the effects are still very real. Everyday essentials, food, rent, transportation, cost more, while your paycheck and savings don't stretch as far as they used to. And this isn't a glitch in the system. It is the system. Governments and central banks have the power to print money at will. This increases the money supply, which gradually dilutes purchasing power. It's a silent tax most people don't notice until it's too late. Add to that bank fees, transfer delays, and opaque monetary policies, and what you get is a system that benefits the few at the expense of the many. Especially in developing nations or unstable economies, people are watching their life savings evaporate as currencies devalue or banks impose capital controls. Even in more stable regions, traditional finance offers little security. Your account can be frozen, transaction limits imposed, or your savings eaten away by inflation, while interest rates barely keep up. The cracks in the old financial system are more visible now than ever, and that's why alternatives like Bitcoin are gaining traction. It's not just about chasing profits, it's about finding a way out of a broken structure that no longer serves everyone equally. Bitcoin didn't appear out of thin air. It was born out of financial crisis, and the longer the current system fails to protect everyday people, the more relevant it becomes. Now that we've covered the problem, let's talk about the proposed solution. And it's not just internet money. Bitcoin is often misunderstood. Some see it as a risky investment, others as just something people use to speculate. But in reality, Bitcoin was designed as a decentralized and borderless form of money that no single entity controls. Unlike traditional currencies issued by governments and managed by central banks, Bitcoin operates on a peer-to-peer network. There are no banks holding your money, no governments printing more of it, and no corporation in charge of processing your transactions. It's run by code, open source, public code that anyone can audit, and no one can alter without consensus. Bitcoin is also limited by design. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins. This hard cap makes it fundamentally different from inflationary fiat currencies, which can expand in supply indefinitely. That's one reason some investors and economists see it as digital gold, a scarce asset designed to hold value over time. But Bitcoin goes further than gold. It's digital, divisible, and can be transferred globally in minutes. You don't need a vault or a bank, just a wallet on your phone or computer, and you're participating in a global financial network. Critically, Bitcoin isn't just a store of value. It's also a payment network. Anyone can send Bitcoin to anyone else in the world, 24/7, without needing approval from a bank, government, or payment processor. This makes it more than just a speculative asset. It's a tool for financial independence. So yes, Bitcoin is money, but it's not the kind we're used to. It's programmable, permissionless, and built to give people control over their own financial lives, something that's becoming harder to find in today's financial world. Moving beyond what Bitcoin is, let's now focus on what it actually gives you. And one of its most revolutionary promises is true ownership. In today's financial system, most people don't actually own their money in the way they think they do. It's stored in banks, managed by third parties, and subject to freezes, restrictions, or even confiscation in extreme cases. Bitcoin changes that dynamic. When you hold Bitcoin in a self-custodial wallet, meaning you control the private keys, no one can take it from you, block your transactions, or prevent you from accessing it. This concept of not your keys, not your coins is central to the Bitcoin philosophy. It gives users full control and full responsibility over their assets. In a world where accounts can be suspended, platforms can collapse, and governments can seize funds, this kind of digital self-sovereignty is a major shift. It's especially meaningful for people in countries with authoritarian regimes or fragile banking systems. There, Bitcoin isn't just about investment. It can be a lifeline. That doesn't mean it's risk-free. With great control comes great responsibility. If you lose your private keys or fall victim to a scam, there's no customer support to help recover your funds. Bitcoin doesn't offer bailouts or undo buttons, and that's the trade-off. But for many, especially those who value privacy and independence, that trade-off is worth it. ownership in Bitcoin is radical in another way, too. It's universal. You don't need permission, a credit score, or a certain amount of wealth to use it. Anyone with a phone and an internet connection can opt in. There's no gatekeeping. This level of financial control is rare in the modern world, and it's one of the main reasons people turn to Bitcoin not just as a currency, but as a foundation for individual freedom. Now that we've seen how Bitcoin gives you ownership of your wealth, let's talk about what you can actually do with it, starting with global payments. One of Bitcoin's original goals was to make sending money across the world as easy as sending an email. In 2025, that promise matters more than ever. In the traditional financial system, international transfers are slow, expensive, and full of restrictions. If you've ever tried to send money overseas through a bank or a service like Western Union, you know the pain. Delays, high fees, currency conversions, and paperwork. Sometimes the transaction gets blocked entirely. Bitcoin eliminates all of that. With Bitcoin, you can send funds to anyone, anywhere in the world, 24/7. No need for intermediaries, business hours, or approval from a bank. A person in Nigeria can receive Bitcoin from a friend in Germany in minutes. A freelancer in the Philippines can get paid from a client in Brazil directly, without currency exchange or holding periods. And the cost? Often just a few cents, especially if the Lightning Network is used. This is why Bitcoin has become a lifeline for people in countries with unstable currencies, limited banking access, or strict capital controls. For them, Bitcoin isn't about speculation. It's a functional payment system that works where the local one doesn't. Of course, there are trade-offs. Bitcoin transactions are irreversible, which means mistakes can be costly. And while the core network can sometimes get congested, Layer 2 solutions like the Lightning Network are addressing that problem by enabling much faster and cheaper payments. Ultimately, Bitcoin's ability to send money globally without borders or permission isn't just a tech feature. It's a fundamental shift in how value moves in the digital age. Whether you're a migrant sending remittances, a business paying contractors abroad, or just someone who wants to bypass financial gatekeepers, Bitcoin makes it possible. Now that we've seen how Bitcoin enables fast and permissionless money transfers, let's zoom out and talk about something even bigger: protecting your wealth from inflation. In 2025, with inflation still affecting many parts of the world, this matters more than ever. Most fiat currencies like the US dollar, euro, or Argentine peso lose value over time. Governments print more money during crises, which leads to inflation, meaning your money buys less every year. Even in countries with so-called stable economies, inflation quietly erodes savings. And in high inflation regions, it's not quiet at all. It's catastrophic. Bitcoin was designed to fight that. With a hard cap of 21 million coins that can ever exist, it's programmed to be scarce. No central bank or government can print more Bitcoin. This fixed supply is enforced by code and secured by a global network of computers. That scarcity is what makes Bitcoin appealing as a store of value, similar to gold, but digital, portable, and much easier to verify and move. In fact, by 2025, Bitcoin's inflation rate is officially lower than gold's. Every 4 years, a halving event reduces the number of new Bitcoins created, making it harder for supply to grow. This makes Bitcoin deflationary over time, a trait almost no national currency shares. Of course, Bitcoin's price is volatile in the short term. It's not immune to market speculation, geopolitical events, or investor sentiment. But over longer periods, Bitcoin has outperformed many traditional assets, especially in regions facing economic instability or capital controls. More people are now using Bitcoin as a savings tool, not just to get rich quick, but to avoid getting poorer slowly. Whether you're in a country with runaway inflation or just want to hedge against fiat risk, Bitcoin offers a non-political alternative. No central bank decisions, no surprise money printing, just a decentralized system governed by math and consensus. And that's why more investors, institutions, and even governments are exploring Bitcoin, not just as an asset, but as protection against a broken monetary system. Shifting from its role as a store of value, let's now explore what truly sets Bitcoin apart from traditional financial systems: its ability to operate freely, across borders, and without censorship. In most countries, your financial freedom depends on the policies of governments, central banks, and private financial institutions. Banks can freeze your accounts. Payment processors can deny service. Governments can block international transfers, impose capital controls, or seize assets, all without warning. Bitcoin offers a radically different approach. It's open, neutral, and unstoppable. With Bitcoin, no one can block your transaction. Once you broadcast it to the network, thousands of nodes around the world validate and relay it, not based on who you are, but whether the math checks out. This makes Bitcoin especially valuable in countries with authoritarian regimes, where people may be punished for dissent, activism, or simply sending money abroad. Bitcoin's borderless design also means it works the same in New York as it does in Lagos or Caracas. There's no central authority to ask for permission, no business hours, and no gatekeepers. That makes it incredibly powerful for cross-border transfers, remittances, and humanitarian aid, particularly in regions where traditional financial systems are slow, expensive, or corrupt. Its neutrality is another key feature. Bitcoin doesn't care about your race, nationality, gender, credit score, or location. As long as you have an internet connection and a digital wallet, you can participate. This opens doors for millions of people who've been excluded from the global economy simply because of where they live or what passport they hold. And importantly, Bitcoin is resistant to seizure. As long as you control your private keys, no one, not a government, not a bank, not even a hacker, can access your funds. This gives people in unstable regions a way to protect wealth from corruption, hyperinflation, and political persecution. So whether you're escaping financial censorship, sending money across borders, or simply looking for a fairer financial system, Bitcoin offers a level playing field, one that belongs to no one, but is open to everyone. Continuing from Bitcoin's borderless nature, we now look at one of its most overlooked impacts, its ability to empower people who live outside the formal banking system. In many parts of the world, access to traditional financial services is a luxury. Over 1.4 billion adults globally are considered unbanked, meaning they have no access to a bank account, credit, or secure savings. Even more are underbanked, relying on unreliable services, informal lenders, or risky cash-based systems. In places where banks are scarce, corrupt, or simply out of reach, people are left with few ways to store or move their money safely. This is where Bitcoin comes in. With nothing more than a smartphone and an internet connection, anyone can create a Bitcoin wallet. No paperwork, no government ID, no credit history required. Suddenly, someone who is excluded from the global financial system has access to a tool for savings, payments, and wealth protection. Bitcoin allows people to receive money from abroad, protect themselves from inflation, and participate in digital commerce, even if their local currency is failing or their country is economically isolated. In countries like Venezuela, Nigeria, and parts of Southeast Asia, we've already seen Bitcoin adoption grow out of necessity. Families use it for remittances. Freelancers accept payment in Bitcoin to avoid unstable local currencies, and entrepreneurs run small businesses without ever opening a traditional bank account. Bitcoin also eliminates many of the hidden fees and delays that plague the poor. Sending or receiving international money through traditional means can eat up 10% or more in fees, an enormous cost for someone living on a few dollars a day. Bitcoin cuts that cost to pennies and delivers funds in minutes, not days. So while Bitcoin is often seen as a luxury asset in the developed world, in emerging markets, it serves as something far more practical, a financial lifeline. It opens access, provides autonomy, and gives millions a way to step into the global economy, often for the first time. Moving forward from financial inclusion, let's look at usability. And that's where the Lightning Network comes in. Bitcoin was originally criticized for being too slow and expensive for everyday transactions. And for a while, those concerns were valid. The base Bitcoin blockchain, while secure and decentralized, has limited capacity, processing only about 7 transactions per second. That might be fine for storing wealth or making large payments, but it's not practical if you want to buy coffee, split a bill, or run a high-volume business. The solution? The Lightning Network, a second-layer protocol designed specifically to make Bitcoin faster and cheaper for everyday use. Built on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, Lightning allows users to open payment channels between each other. Once established, these channels can process thousands of transactions instantly and with virtually no fees. You don't have to wait for confirmations or pay minor fees every time. The transactions happen off-chain, and only the final balances are settled on Bitcoin's base layer, which keeps the whole system efficient and scalable. This has major implications. Suddenly, Bitcoin isn't just a digital gold or investment vehicle. It becomes a working payment network. You can use it for microtransactions like tipping content creators, buying digital goods, or paying for transit. It's already being used in countries like El Salvador, where Lightning-enabled apps allow people to pay for groceries or coffee in Bitcoin, just like they would with a credit card, only faster and cheaper. Even major platforms are experimenting. Twitter, now X, integrated Lightning for tipping. Gaming companies are building Lightning support for in-game economies. And small businesses worldwide are embracing it for the simplicity and savings it brings. No chargebacks, no intermediaries, and immediate settlement. While Lightning is still evolving, it addresses the two biggest criticisms Bitcoin has faced: speed and scalability. And more importantly, it brings Bitcoin one step closer to becoming an actual currency people can use, not just hold. After speed and usability, let's explore how Bitcoin is helping people build a parallel economy, especially entrepreneurs and digital workers. For years, small businesses and online creators have struggled with traditional payment systems. Banks charge fees, freeze funds without notice, and limit access based on geography or regulations. Platforms like PayPal, Stripe, or Patreon often take a cut, enforce content restrictions, or are unavailable in many countries. Bitcoin is quietly changing that. With Bitcoin, anyone can receive payments directly from anyone else, instantly, globally, and without permission. No third-party account required, just a wallet and an internet connection. That means a freelance developer in Nigeria can invoice a client in Canada without going through a bank. A digital artist in Argentina can sell work to buyers in Japan without worrying about currency conversion or international wire delays. This decentralized nature empowers people to operate in what's increasingly being called the parallel economy, an alternative financial system that runs independently of traditional banking. Bitcoin becomes the native currency for this ecosystem, where creators, educators, service providers, and even physical product sellers accept direct payment, often using tools like BTC Pay Server or Lightning-enabled wallets. Chargebacks, a big issue for small merchants, don't exist in Bitcoin. Once a payment is made, it's final. That reduces fraud and gives sellers more confidence. There's also no risk of frozen funds due to a policy violation or unusual activity, something that plagues many on centralized platforms. The Lightning Network further enables micropayments, meaning writers can charge pennies per article, or musicians can be paid by the second for streaming their work. Business models that simply aren't feasible with fiat payment rails due to minimum fees. This shift won't replace the entire global financial system overnight, but it's opening a new lane, one where creativity, hustle, and value exchange aren't limited by borders, banks, or bureaucracies. And Bitcoin is at the heart of it. And finally, let's zoom out, because Bitcoin isn't just a tool for money. It's a tool for freedom. For most people, money is just something you earn, spend, or save. But if you really understand Bitcoin, you realize it's something deeper. It's about reclaiming financial independence in a world that's increasingly centralized and controlled. Bitcoin doesn't just protect you from inflation, it protects you from censorship. In many parts of the world, people can't send or receive funds freely. Bank accounts are frozen, donations are blocked, financial surveillance is everywhere. But Bitcoin doesn't care who you are, where you live, or what you believe. If you have a private key, you have access to your money. No one can stop it, reverse it, or limit it. That's why Bitcoin is used by political dissidents, independent journalists, and people escaping authoritarian regimes. It's also why governments and banks fear it, because it breaks their monopoly on control. Even in stable democracies, Bitcoin offers a new kind of sovereignty. You're not just storing value, you're opting out of a broken system. You're taking back control from middlemen, data harvesters, and institutions that profit from your dependence. And as technology evolves, from the Lightning Network to self-custody tools and decentralized finance, Bitcoin is becoming easier to use than ever. You don't need a finance degree or tech background to participate. All you need is the will to take back your power. So when people say Bitcoin is just a number on a screen, they're missing the point. It's a global protest encoded in math. It's a financial lifeline for millions, and a statement that you believe in transparency, fairness, and freedom in the digital age. And that's why Bitcoin may not just be the future of money. It might be the future of freedom itself. All right, we made it to the end of this video. But let me encourage you to continue your crypto education and suggest watching one of these two videos you see on the screen right now. I hope you found today's information helpful. If yes, make sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Also, feel free to leave your opinion or question in comment section. Best of luck, and see you in my next video.